Well guys, it's August 8th and it's getting close to deer season. I'm in Tennessee, my home state. It's hot, it's about 90 degrees, but I'm gonna go in here and hang a tree stand. I've been getting pictures on the Browning cams of a really good buck. I've been watching for the past 3 years, buck I call Niner, and this year he's 5, and he's got a heck of a rack on him. I've been getting lots of pictures of him in the evening time coming out of this hayfield and hugging the edge of this tree line. So I think I have me a possible tree in here. I'm gonna go inspect it a little more, make sure I can put a stand in it and a lock on. So I'm gonna get my safety belt on and I'm gonna slip in here and put me a tree stand up. This piece of property I'm hunting is very small, but I've noticed this deer using it at certain times of the year. I really don't think he lived there, he was just cruising through at certain times. I noticed each year I would get a few photos of him in the velvet, then he'd disappear until around Halloween, he'd hang out for a few days, and disappear again until the rut was really kicking around November. So this year I decided to just stay out of the area until mid-November rolled around. Meanwhile, waiting out the October lull on other pieces of ground, shooting does, and hunting with my dad. What about that big old doe?
Russ and I come hunting yesterday evening, and I talked him into letting me get in his stand back here. How long was I there? About 5 minutes. And a little old small buck, I heard a limb crack. A small buck come dogging a doe out of there and run by me. And I just got through putting a new card in the camera. It hadn't been 2 or 3 minutes, and I saw another deer with his nose on the ground trailing up in the cedars. And this guy here popped out. And once he found the track, here he come. I like to never got him stopped. But he stopped in front of the trail camera, and I'm 99.9% sure we got the kill shot on the trail camera. But I elected to get out of here last night because when I turned the string loose, I hit a limb and it kicked the arrow way left and shot him back. So when in doubt, back out. So that's what I did. Russ and I elected to wait till early this morning to come back in here and look for him. And we're walking down the trail coming in here to where I shot him, and I just happened to look over in the cedars, and here he laid. So after I shot him, he took off running back towards the truck. If he'd have just run about a half mile further, I would have done sling him in the back.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Well, finally, mid-November rolled around, and I was itching to get in the tree stand that I had hung earlier in the year. With the last pictures I've gotten of Niner being on the 27th of October, I'm not even sure if he's still alive. Nonetheless, I'm still hopeful to cross paths with him before the season is over. As November kicks off, these deer are starting to act ruddy. And one evening while I'm sitting in the stand that I hung, a nice shooter 6-point shows up, a deer that I have 0 pictures of. I never got a shot, but it's still good knowing there's another shooter in the area. On November 20th, as the sun starts to break, I look to my left down at a mock scrape I had made, and a doe pops out. And just in behind her is Niner. He pushes the doe across the field, matching her step for step. All at once, she starts to angle my way, and he's right on her heels. Well, the doe does just as planned, but the buck stops at 70 yards and starts winding. At this point, my heart starts sinking, and I'm thinking to myself, there is no way this buck is going to let this hot doe get away from him. Well, the unthinkable happens. Imagine that. The buck comes to the edge of the tree line, and instead of following the doe's trail, goes in the opposite direction, past the mock scrape, where I initially saw him, and goes into the woodline. Well, just a few minutes later, I look up and notice a small buck in the field following the doe's track. He grabs the buck's track and goes into the woodline where Niner did. Well, a couple of more minutes go by, and the small buck pops out of the woodline and follows the doe's track this time, up under my stand, and he jumps her in the woods behind me. Well, I'm pretty much disgusted at this point, so I grab my phone and I start to text my dad about my dumb luck. I look up from my phone just in time to catch a glimpse of Niner coming out of the tree line, coming past the mock scrape, and he's walking right to me. As he gets closer, he grabs the doe's track, and my heart rate starts to elevate because I know I'm about to get a shot at this buck.
That is why you bow hunt. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I just killed my biggest Tennessee buck. Oh, I gotta call my dad. Dude, this is the biggest deer. That's exactly right. This is the biggest deer I've ever killed with my bow. It's the biggest deer I've ever killed in the state of Tennessee. And I've watched him for the past 3 years, and I just killed him with my bow and arrow. Stopped him right here at 20. He kind of cut out, gave me a perfect shot. He quartered in two just a little bit, but I put the arrow good, and he goes out there and he just falls over backwards. And I got the best buck I've ever killed in Tennessee. Guys, I'm gonna GoPro up here and slide down this tree and go check out this buck. God is good, let me tell you. There's my arrow. My arrow right here. And hair and blood. There he is, guys. There's the buck. What did I just do? Lord Jesus. Lord Jesus, what a buck. What a buck. What a buck. What a deer, guys. The Luminoc HD orange on there, baby. Smoke. And there's my tree stand right there. If you guys can see it. But that's where it just all went down. So I don't know how much of the big camera I got, to be honest. It really doesn't matter. Everything else kind of left my mind when this deer started coming into range. But real quick, I'm gonna take y'all over here and then I'm gonna prop him up and do some real pretty stuff. But gotta check this deer out. He's a hammer, guys. I cannot believe that all just happened, transpired the way it did. Went out in this sage field and took a nosedive. But guys, I want you to check out this book right here. Look at that deer right there, guys. I mean, that is a stud. One year, I think last year, he tried to throw a little 4. Always had great brows, but just a freaking humdinger. Well, here he is, guys, and a beautiful Tennessee buck at that. My biggest bow buck for Tennessee, and he's a great deer. He's 5.5 this year. This is a 3-year quest. Came to a close this morning. I've had pictures of this deer for the past 3 years. Just, he hadn't been a shooter. Last year at 4, he had a really short 4. He just didn't have the mass. This year at 5. And he just blew up. He put the mass on, and knew I wanted to go after him, and waited till the rut to come in here. I saw a shooter 6-point here last week chasing a doe. Come in here this morning. It was kind of slow. Wasn't expecting much, and then I looked down and I seen a doe pop out of this tree line, and sure enough, this guy was right behind her, and man, my heart got jumping in, boy. And the doe come to me. I don't know if he got a whiff of me or what, but or lost sight of the doe. That could have possibly happened because that sage is pretty tall. But he goes back to where he come from. I grunted at him and he just wasn't paying no attention and goes back in the woods, and I'm heart sank. Here comes a 6-pointer. 6-pointer gets on that doe's trail and runs all the way up in behind the doe, chases her up in the woods. 5 minutes goes by, I look down, and here comes the guy back out. And he follows the doe's trail this time. He comes up 20 yards. And he was quartering 2 just a little bit when I shot, but it smoked him. I hooked that front leg, and he ran out in the field and wheelied, jumped up off his front leg and fell over dead. Well, what a great buck. What a great Tennessee buck. Lots of mass. My best bow deer in Tennessee, and I couldn't be more proud of it. Thank you, good Lord, for bow hunting. Look at that buck.